All right, friend, Andy Jenkins here. We've been talking about the business side of it for months. It's actually months. The reason we've been doing it is because so often in the world of ideas, it's so easy to keep thinking of ideas and writing the book and doing the course, and you post on social media, send the emails, you do all the workshops and the sharing and the seminars, and then you kind of forget about the business side of all of this. It's almost like for so many of us, it becomes an afterthought, and then you figure out pretty quickly if it is an afterthought, oh man, I got to keep some gas in the tank of this whole vehicle of this business thing, or I can't keep platforming the message. The message needs fuel to move it forward, and that fuel comes in the form of finances. At least that's part of the fuel. Today, I want to share with you one of the business topics or strategies or concepts that it was a game changer for me. And it was really at the time that put the pieces together, it was this big kind of, one of those light bulb moments. I'd never thought of it before. And then somebody that I was working with used this term ecosystem. And then they used the term, let's just start connecting the dots for people. I don't even think they were thinking about all this in a strategic way. They were just kind of saying it because they were helping us do some branding and helping us do some logos and some style guides and all of that kind of stuff, and doing an incredible job of it, by the way. But when that guy said, all right, let's start talking about the whole ecosystem, and let's start talking about connecting some of the dots for some of the people. In his mind, he's thinking about it because he wants the colors to match and the fonts to match and everything to kind of line up. All of a sudden, it changed the game for me, because now it wasn't like, okay, let's write one book and let's just see who buys it. Now let's sell as many as we can, and then let's write another book. And let's sell as many as we can, and then let's write another book and sell as many as we can. What it really led to for me was thinking, okay, if somebody buys that first book, what's the next best step for them? Is the next best step an audiobook, or is it a course, or is it coaching? How can I repurpose that book into multiple modes of content and serve people indefinitely at a higher level, letting them determine how much access they want to the content, the trainer, to the coaching? You see the difference? And how can I connect those dots to where in an automated sequence, it leads people, oh, you got the book. Hey, if you like the book, you'd probably like this. And if you want to engage with this content at an even deeper level and get even better results, here's your next best step. In other words, thinking long-term on it. Now, once we did that, it changed things. I learned that you can repurpose the content. You don't have to keep churning out a whole bunch of stuff. You can churn out something and do a great job of it, and then really give the people who want to go deep into it the opportunity to continue going deep. Now, not everybody wants to do that, and that's okay, but for the people who do, have those next best steps, which from a business side generally tend to cost exponentially more, and it increases the bottom line. We also learned this. It's often easier to keep cultivating consistent customers than it is to locate new customers. And so by always having a next best step to engage higher in your product ladder, greater, deeper in the funnel, whatever term you want to use, you start building a long-term strategy that can sustain. And that makes a monumental difference. Okay, all kinds of info down there in the show notes for you. Take a look. Here's the training on really serving people by thinking long term. Now let's do the math on some of this, because we're talking about leads. We're talking about Okay, you want to do the force multiplication. All right, what do? You got to have leads. If you currently get 10 new leads in your email sequence each month, or if you make 10 face-to-face leads each month, just at a networking event or lunches that you're having, like with group meetings and things, not just meeting everybody one to one to one to one. I mean, you do need to do some one-to-one stuff, but I mean, I think that's more kind of a different lane. All right, think about what would happen if you double that number, if you got more leads, or if you up the conversion from that. Okay, so if you look at the data and we talk about how to do that in the building a business plan training, if you look at the data, it will help you build and grow off those leads. All right, let's move from leads to low-hanging fruit. I really think that someone shifts from a lead to low-hanging fruit when they become a customer. And I would even say most likely making a low ticket purchase. Okay, so you have all of these opt-ins, and then you have all of these low ticket items. You've got mini courses, or one mini course. You've got an audio book. You've got an ebook that people can purchase and download. You have worksheets, or you have maybe even assessment that you charge for. You have your book, your paperback, a free plus shipping offer, or just the book, buy it at retail. This is, before they go deeper, this is low hanging fruit. They have already said yes. They are no longer a lead. If they are opted in, or they've connected with you in some way and you've exchanged contact information, I really think that's a lead. A lead is not someone officially categorized in my mind as a lead until they are somewhere at the top of your funnel, meaning you have their contact info. Now, they're not in the funnel until they make a purchase. We talked about that very clearly in the design your ecosystem, architect your funnel training. But at the point they make a purchase, I think you can go, okay, they're now, it's low hanging fruit. Again, they shift from low lead to low hanging fruit when they become a customer. That means they make a purchase. So let's do some math here. If 1/5 of your leads currently buy at some level, so 1/5 of the people that you're interacting with, or if it's 1/10, whatever it is, or it's 1/20th, whatever it is, if 1/5, we're just kind of doing buy at some level, what would your finances look like? What would the revenue do? And what would be the force multiplication if 2/5 bought something? And the idea here is small movements here from lead to low hanging fruit. It's going to create a major impact. So make just some mental notes and consider what would make more people, just a few more, not tons more. What would make more people buy? Would it be a brochure? I don't know. It depends on your industry. Would it be having a business card? Okay, that seems to be, an impact for me. Would it be a different price point? Would it be, oddly enough, if you drop the price, maybe, would it be, are you priced too low so that some people don't take you seriously? And they might if you raise the price. What about having testimonials on your site? Going back to people that have done business with you before, or people that have interacted with you before, that you've served before, and you could just get that out there. Okay, what would make just a few more? How do you move the needle? Okay, and this could, again, be something that you just kind of mathematically work on. Go back to the module on building out a business plan and just kind of run a few numbers. Now, the pro tip here is the goal in the first two steps right here. It's to increase the number of leads who take action and make a purchase, as well as the number of low ticket purchasers who take another step. And all of this is going to be easier if you map out your ecosystem. So again, there is training on this, how to design your ecosystem. I think we call it architecting your funnel. This is what the funnel looks like. So people out here, once they opt in, we might want to just say, like, right there, let me just pull some text over here from another place and say, at this point, they are a lead. They are a lead when they get to this point, outside of your funnel. Now, in other training, we say they're not really in the funnel until they've made a purchase. So don't, qualify them or quantify them as something that they're not. They are a lead. Okay. At this point, when they make a purchase, I think you could say, okay, that is just looking at the slide right there. That is low hanging fruit. Okay. They're in there. They bought something. They've made a purchase. So just to be clear, and so again, on these first two steps, leads and low hanging fruit, what would happen if we could move some of these leads just to make a purchase, just to buy the book, just to buy the ebook? And then what would happen if some of this low hanging fruit, we could just move these to like a little bit deeper, or to look at it from overhead. Um, Again, outside, lead. Yeah, and again, I've told you, like from the side, it looks like a cone. It looks like a funnel. It looks like a tornado moving people deeper. From the top, just from overhead, kind of say, okay, it is a bullseye. We're trying to get people that need to be to the center of that, to where they're really doing the one-to-one coaching, their one-to-one consulting. The low-hanging fruit here is on the outside of the bullseye, really kind of on the edge there. So what we're trying to do is just, what if everybody just moved in 1 degree closer? What would that look like? And how would that change your business model? Um, Again, another look at the product ladder. At the top of the product ladder, so this is kind of upside down from the funnel. At the top, you have higher ticket items, and that's deeper in the funnel. So there are fewer people that you serve at a higher level. At the bottom of the product ladder, you have lower ticket items. It's higher in the funnel. So you're serving the most people at a very surface level. So the leads are not even on that ladder yet. The low hanging fruit is at the bottom of that ladder. What if we could just get people up, just a little bit higher on the ladder? Most people aren't going to immediately jump the entire ladder. You're going to have a few people from time to time to do that. But most people, they'll kind of skip a rung or two at a time and climb up. What if we just had a way to encourage them moving forward? And that really leads us to kind of the final area that we're going to look at here, which is the long-term capacity here. So long-term, we're really thinking about, if you have a strategy to lead people all the way through your ecosystem, all the way up that value ladder. If they can start at the bottom here as a lead, step on that ladder, low hanging fruit, go step, 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 all the way up. Is there a strategy to do that? Is there a strategy to move people, now looking at the bullseye, from the outside low ticket offers deeper to the core? Is there a strategy in place that you have to move people from, opt-ins, looking at the funnel, opt-in, to move to the low ticket item, deeper in the funnel, all the way down? If you have a strategy to lead people all the way through your ecosystem, many of those people will take the journey with you. Now, not all of them, but many of them will. In fact, there is an industry stat that says this: 10% of your current clients will pay you 10 times what they currently pay you if you show them the value for that next offer. And it's often easier to convert existing clients and keep them than it is to find new clients. So what I'm saying is, some of your best leads are the people that you nurture and serve at a higher level long term, as long as you have a plan to serve them at that higher level. What does this stat mean? 10% will pay 10 times what they currently pay. Here's what it means. If you have 100 people right now that have given you $10 for, let's just say, a mini course, a digital download, something where you explain something in 3 or 4 quick videos, $10. 100 people did it. That means that 10 of those people, 10%, will pay you not $10, they will pay you $100. They will pay you $100 for a more robust course that walks them through at a deeper level, if you can show them the value. And that means, out of those 10 people, one person will give you $1,000 for some one-to-one coaching if you can show them how that will serve them and impact their business, their organization, their life, their whatever it is, their goal, whatever it is, the problem that you solve, the potential that you're leading them down to through a path with progress points, avoiding the pits and pitfalls along the way, they will pay you more to do that. So what am I saying? I'm saying if you got that low ticket offer in place where we've talked about, okay, we're moving the leads. We're talking about the leads, first of all, and we're taking the leads and we're moving them to low hanging fruit. So we're taking those leads and getting them to look on the screen, low hanging fruit, $10 offer or $20, whatever low ticket is. Your low ticket might be $100, whatever it is. You're moving the leads to the low hanging fruit. And then that low hanging fruit, long term, some of them will pay you, 10% will pay you 10 times what they're currently paying you if you show them the value. 10% of those people will pay you 10 times what they're currently paying if you show them the value. You need to have a system in place that leads people all the way up this value ladder, and they'll take that journey. So, pro tip, don't overlook clients who've worked with you before and then offboard it. Just because they are a past client and not a present client does not mean that at some point they won't need your services again. Stay in touch with them, continue adding value through all of these email broadcasts, through all of this long form content, podcasting and texting, and even like staying in touch with them, like, hey, every 6 months, check in. Hey, on their birthday, hey, man, I was just thinking about you. How are you doing? Like, reach out to them. You have a shared history with them. And so many of them will come back when they need your service if you have rocked it out the first time. All right. Now, that said, let me give you 3 categories, 3 types of offers that you can make. And my suggestion would be you really consider making them all on some level. And if you make them, remember, if people don't know that you can do it, then they're not going to sign up for it. But if they do know that you can do it, then they may very well take action with you. So here are the 3 categories, and you will see these, just so you know, posted all over the Amplify site. This is kind of how we do it. And we just say it this clearly because I want everything to be clear and concise, not cute, not clever. So let me break these down: content coaching and contract work. Content means this: people can purchase the information from you at any time. This includes books, ebooks, audio, and courses. Now, people that purchase content from you, they are way up at the top of the funnel, usually, generally. Now, that might go deeper, but at the top of the funnel, there is very little interaction with you. There are lots of people. They're not paying you a whole lot of money. That is content. I think in order to do this, you need a series of sales pages that are very clear. You need email sequences. You need some opt-ins, and you need a way to make this happen, ideally as part of your system. So where did we talk about systems before? We talked about systems way up at the top of this training when we were saying 3 required factors to have this force multiplication. You got to serve people. And of course, yeah, you want scalability, but boom, right there, number 2. You got to get the right systems in place. And so content, people can purchase the information about your framework from you at any time. It includes books, ebooks, audio, courses, could have mini courses, could have, some other, anyway, downloads, worksheets, all that kind of stuff. Category number 2 is coaching. Now, the shift from content to coaching, as you interact with these people and you walk them through the information at some level, this adds an element of relationship to the information. What's the element of relationship? Well, now it's interaction. Now, I would say there are 2 subsets of coaching. You can coach, as you see on the screen right there. You can coach in community. That could be masterminds. Masterminds are generally small groups. They're higher ticket. Or it could be larger groups, meaning monthly membership, something like Amplify Pro. That's not a mastermind. That's a large group. Okay, it's coaching, but it's coaching done in community. Or another subset of coaching, you could do this one-to-one consulting. Generally, you work with them closely. You walk with them through the framework. You are, on some level, customizing, not changing the framework, but really personalizing some of the elements to their unique situation, to their unique context. In fact, there's an entire module that we've recently released on this that is titled How to Coach So That Your Clients Make Real Progress. I would encourage you, as it relates to one-to-one consulting, to watch that module. I would encourage you, as far as it relates to community, to watch the module from Amplify, where we talk about how to run a membership group. And consequently, you've got access to both of those as part of Amplify Pro. Now, just a reminder, coaching is deeper in the funnel than content. So it's a higher ticket with more access, and it's going to have fewer people. It's important that you know that, because what I see a lot of times with people that are kind of getting into the thought leader space is they spend far more time on social media and interacting with people in the free space than they do with people that are their current clients that are paying very much money for them and for the access to them. And so while you do need to nurture leads, you just got to figure out, okay, when is and what is the amount that I want to nurture leads, and what is the amount and the access that I want to give people that are paying the higher money. And really, like, you got to keep that in the right balance. Okay. If people are paying the higher ticket, if you're coaching them, you're helping walk them through the framework. And people that are on social media, they don't need that kind of access. It's not that you stiff arm the people there. It's just, and you can be ultra positive. Like, you don't have to put people off at all. It's just figuring out, where do you spend the time. The final element here is not only doing content, not only looking at coaching as an offer, but also contract work. Contract work is when you actually do the stuff for them in person. They don't just buy it from you. That's content. You don't just walk them through the framework as they do it. That's coaching. You actually do the work on their behalf. Uh, that is a much higher priced value proposition. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's not what I do. I would say you're doing contract work. Like, if you're building the website or writing the book for them, yeah, you're doing contract work. But also think about it like this. If you're serving as an interim pastor somewhere, you're really doing 1099 contract work. You're doing the work. If you're coaching someone on how to build a homeschool curriculum, that's coaching. But if it gets into, like, you're like doing the stuff, it's some element, you're doing contract work. If you are coaching people how to do wedding photography, or how to design the floral arrangements, or how to run the wedding, okay, that might be coaching. But if you're showing up, even if you're showing up for 1 or 2 days only, you're doing contract work. And so you might not call it that. And it's not necessary that you like label it like this on your website. Oh, do you want content? Do you want coaching, or do you want contract work? I just kind of do that because it fits with the space that we're in. Well, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because you probably have these elements too. And if you'll define them, it helps you kind of create buckets of, okay, where does this offer that I'm doing really fit? And how much time do I need to invest in it? Okay, now how do I price it? Okay, now how many can I actually do? Okay, now how do I build out the business model for that? Okay, that helps me with the force multiplication of all of this. Now, the relative ranking on these, just, less stars is less access to you. More stars is more access. Less stars is less cost. More stars is more cost. I would say content. Okay. People can search up anything and learn anything about anything. So your content, really, you're going to craft it in such a way with your framework that leads people from point A to point Z. Let me kind of pull together some rankings here, relative rankings of things that kind of get thrown around. A lot of people say something like content is king, content is king, content is king. They say this up a lot. Here's really how I would evaluate that. Content is kind of a one-star proposition of everything you got. People can learn anything they want to know just by a quick search it up, look at, Google it, whatever. Convenience is a big factor, and people will actually pay you for convenience. So I'm going to give that 2 stars. Again, just kind of showing you content is not king. There are more things that are important. So if you can structure that content in such a way that it's accessible and they can follow that framework, that's going to be a bigger win. Here's what I think is the most important, though. It's not the content, it's not the convenience, it's the connection with you and with other people. So it's the content delivered in a convenient way in the context of relationship and even community. So as you start kind of wrapping your head around all of this, is content king? No. I really think somehow the connection flows through all of this. All right, let's review. Let's walk through what we just learned about growing your business, about the force multipliers. Let's just say about growing your business with the force multipliers. All right, here they are. There are 3 required factors if you're going to grow this thing. Number 1, you got to serve people. Number 2, you need systems. Number 3, it's got to be scalable. You got to have systems that will enable you to serve person number 1,000 or 10,000 at the same level that you serve person number 1. There are 3 places to begin. Start with all 3. Look at leads. How do you grow and develop more leads? And then how do you move those leads to be low-hanging fruit? So they purchase something that's a low-ticket item. And then how do you move the low-ticket item person to something that is longer term? You develop a strategy step by step by step that works people through that. As you do, there are 3 categories of offers that you can create. And I suggest that you create all 3 of them. In fact, you probably already do all 3 of them. You just haven't thought of them in these buckets. We just happen to call them these categories on the Amplify site, but I think most people tend to have them. Number 1's content. People are just buying information. That's it. Now, remember, content is not king. Content is important, but what people really want is convenient content, and they want connection and interaction. So foster that and move people towards coaching. You can do coaching in a group. You can do coaching, large group, small group, one-to-one. Okay, it's going to get more expensive the more one-to-one access they have with you and the smaller that group gets. And then you can move into this contract work where it's not just, info. It's not just interaction. It is, I will implement and do this thing for you. Okay, you see it? I think you got it. For further study, here's where you need to go. Go watch the module, How to Architect Your Funnel. It will empower you to do all of this. I would say also go watch the module on how to increase your revenue. That is one of them where we're talking about how to build the business plan. And this is kind of that part 2 of how to increase it, tips to increase the revenue after you got the business plan built. And then I would also say, I'm going to add this on in real time, how to build a sales machine that sells on autopilot. That is going to help you develop the systems. All of these are available in Amplify Pro. And then finally, I referenced this one earlier, how to grow your online presence. There are 4 pillars to that. It is a 4-step process that you do, rinse, repeat, and just keep on. All right, comments, questions, reach out. I'll see you soon.